In 1980, the corkscrew, a Vekoma MK1200 looping coaster, opened at Alton Towers and initially brought the crowds into the park. However, it wouldn't be until the mid-1990s that the park was truly put on the map. Although the likes of the log flume, the black hole, the runaway mine train and the Thunder Looper were added at this time, both park guests and park executives were looking for the next big attraction. The Thunder Looper was a Schwarzkopf shuttle loop coaster that debuted in 1976 at King's Dominion in the USA and was called King Cobra.
However, the steel coaster I personally find the most wonderfully terrifying is what is known as the shuttle loop, such as the King Cobra of King's Dominion in Virginia. You see, it's one thing to go forward through a vertical loop, but then to travel up a dead-end track, stop, and fall through the same loop backwards. That's marvelous.
In 1990, it opened at Alton Towers, but it was on temporary planning permission and had to be renewed each year.
Many who visit Alton Towers are brave. But to ride the Thunder Looper, you have to be very brave.
It remained as the only ride in the new Thunder Valley area until 1992, when the Beast was moved into the area and stood in the land that Galactica now resides in. We all know today that Nemesis is a B&M inverted coaster, but the original plan for a ride at the site was going to be for something completely different. In 1992, work began on blasting out a pit in Thunder Valley ready for the new ride, even before it was decided on. The rocks that had been excavated were moved to other areas of the park, notably being used as theming elements on the Congo River Rapids in Katanga Canyon close by. The rocks were also used to theme the walkway down into the area when it was re-themed to Forbidden Valley when Nemesis opened. So you're probably all wondering what the original ride was going to be. Well, the original ride type that would reside at the site was going to be for a pipeline coaster built by the American manufacturer Aerodynamics. John Wardley, the ride's designer, had good relations with Aerodynamics because he had worked with them when designing and building Vampire, which opened at Chessington World of Adventures in 1990. In 1992, he was drafted in by Alton Towers to help develop a new ride for Thunder Valley for a replacement for the Thunder Looper. Having seen photographs of the pipeline's trains, John came up with the theme. To John, the trains looked almost like missiles, and because of that, the ride would have been themed to a secret government facility trialing a new weapon. Shortly after, John would come up with the first layout for the coaster and label it as SW1. The ride was only planned to be 980 feet long because of the strict planning restrictions on the park. Because Aerodynamics were experiencing financial issues at the time and technical issues with the planning of the ride, the project would be put on hold. It would be revived a year later under the codename of Secret Weapon 2. Further rock blasting took place at the site and John would design the second layout for the coaster. However, the plans changed when John went out and rode the prototype coaster that Arrow had built in Utah. He described the ride as slow and boring, and without the lift hill being able to be built past the tree height, the ride just wouldn't work at Alton Towers. So the plan for an Aerodynamics pipeline coaster was dropped, but John would then hear about something that would change the whole project.
Hello, I'm Danny from Coast to Dan, also known for the host of Off the Tracks, which is a weekly podcast. And also we do live streams such as Level Up, which is like a gaming kind of situation, I'd say like a gaming platform. Also, we're doing vlogs as well on Off the Tracks as well, which is pretty cool. So yeah, it's a good brand. I like Off the Tracks, it's really good, but I'm known for Coaster Dan.
So, what would you say your favourite overall thing about the ride? You know, if it's a particular inversion or if it's anything else.
I would say it would have to be the is it the corkscrew near the bus? I think it's the last one. As you're coming like you're about to hit the bus, because everything is so tight around that area, and you're so close to that bus as well. And then you kind of go underneath the tunnel, and then you're like heading back into the brake run. But yeah, that bit there, you get some serious G's from it as well. But I'd say that's the best bit about it. Other than saying that, though, hang about though, no, because I like the corkscrew, not the corkscrew, the twist. Over the, no, not the helix. You know the zero G roll. That's it, over the station. Oh, I don't know actually. Yeah, I'll go with the zero G roll over the station, because let's be honest, coming out of that helix and then going up into it, wow, get some incredible.
I have yet to
incredible
experience
feelings.
that, and I can't wait.
I know. It's a shame.
Batman the comic book hero has inspired Batman the Ride. It's the world's only suspended outside looping thrill ride. Park guests hang below the track in high-speed chairlift type vehicles, similar to what you'd find at a ski area.
In 1992, the Swiss manufacturer Bolliger & Mabillard opened Batman the Ride at Six Flags Great America. This was the first B&M inverted roller coaster anywhere in the world. After hearing about it, John got into contact with Harold Hudson, who was head of engineering at Six Flags, to ask what was going on with the new inverted ride that had been built there. After getting clearance from the Six Flags board and B&M, John got told all about the ride, and soon after he flew out to Six Flags to give it a ride, which he absolutely loved. After this, John knew that this is the ride that should be put into the hole that had been excavated in Thunder Valley. Secret Weapon 3 was officially born. With the ride type now decided, it was now time to actually build it. The area that was blasted was actually a flat plot of land and was used as a car park until the diggers and excavators came in to make way for the new ride in 1992. Because of the tree line restriction that Alton Towers had to abide by in the 1990s, the pit that had already been created was excavated further to allow the coaster to fit. After doing a survey of the land, John found the tallest tree in the area and marked that as the top of the lift hill and worked backwards from there. Instead of placing the station at the lowest point of the ride, which was the normal thing to do when designing a roller coaster back in 1994, John placed it halfway up the pit. This was so that the ride could keep up the excitement and intensity all the way from the top of the lift hill right up to the final brake run.
So my name's Luke. I've been a theme park enthusiast for just over about 10 years now, and mainly started off just riding the best roller coasters in the UK, and now I'm doing hopefully going to get out there to some parks, fingers crossed soon when things start to open up. But yeah, I've moved to sort of doing trips abroad and visit other parks abroad. But fingers crossed that keeps going very soon. But yeah, just got to keep our fingers crossed and that'll happen again.
So, if you could make any changes or improvements to the ride, what would you personally like to see?
Bring back the water. Bring back the bloody water. I think people might have. People know what I'm on about here. It's the same thing that Vampire has at Jetton, but bring back the water, the lovely, pink water as it was where they put dye in the water. Just bring that back, and maybe add a few more theming around the rides, and but yeah, other than that, the layout is perfect as it is, and it doesn't.
With the ride now under construction, John now turned to the backstory and name for the ride. The name was chosen by Wardley and Nick Varney, who was the marketing director of Alton Towers at the time. Apparently, the two men sat in Nick's office and made a pledge that they weren't allowed to leave until a name for the ride was chosen. Over a bottle of Southern Comfort, the name Nemesis was chosen.
Well, make no bones about it, I see Nemesis as the Jurassic Park of 1994, and I've got £5 million that is going to make sure that nobody can move or hear anything without finding out about Nemesis. And
the backstory of the ride was created by Nick and goes as follows. During a routine excavation at the site of Nemesis, a worker found a warning sign. It was then discovered that the site that was being excavated was once a very religious site because of the rumblings that were coming from underground. As well as this, it was found that strange liquid had oozed up to the surface and hardened over the years. The monster, known as Nemesis, was then disturbed by all the excavation work going on. It then ripped up the surrounding landscape and created the pits and trenches around itself. The area around the creature was renamed to Forbidden Valley, and the Ministry of Defense was called in. 250 tons of steel was then delivered to the site, where they were bent into mysterious shapes, and 200 men were brought in to pin down the Nemesis creature. This is the steel that you ride when taking your ride on Nemesis. However, another version of the story people talk about is that you're actually riding the tentacles of the monster on vehicles built by members of the MOD for some fun. But that version of the story doesn't sound right in my opinion. A comic was also sold in the park to inform people of the origins of Nemesis. Although this was a story that people could understand, they wouldn't be able to understand it fully. So obviously you are a former ride-op of Nemesis.
I am.
So what was kind of a typical day for you from like kind of arriving at the park to leaving and operating the ride?
Well, first things first, you get given a sheet of paper where it's pretty much your counts of how many people you have on the ride. It's just it's one of these things where they all do, all the operators have. It's just so in the future they can do a forecast saying, well, on such and such day this was busy. So technically it's just for the HR people to know what's a busy day and what's a quiet day. But then you obviously got your sheet of where people have their breaks. Now, I don't know what it is now, but I know back when I was there, you had a break every 2 hours for half an hour due to the fact of the sound, the noise in that station. Everyone had breaks every 2 hours. So I do see them putting earpieces in. So I don't know if that means that they can last longer on the ride itself to operate it or even host it. But yeah, you pretty much, you sort out everyone's break and where they need to be. You get everyone to do their jobs, such as making sure that the queue lines are all, it's all clean and stuff, making sure that you've got a section like queue, we call it queue line 1, which is the one where you first walk through the entrance and then you kind of turn right straight away and you go down. That's Q1, and then Q2 is obviously the extended area. So you pretty much, you put your stuff where they need to be, and then you rotate every hour. No, sorry, you rotate every 45 minutes. So what you do is you go, because all the hosts, they're all in their specific spot. So imagine you've got 3. So you've got one who, if I'm operating it, I've got one in front of me so I can directly see them. And then there's one where there's one right near the air gates, right at the back, which I can't see. So hence why they all do their thumb dispatching. So I know that everyone is okay to go, because I can't actually press my buttons until the host has pressed his button right at the back. So just on a safety precaution. And also you got the gate person as well. So pretty much you've got your 3 members of staff, and every 45 minutes you say, okay, rotate, and everyone just rotates literally in a circle to the next spot, what they want to do. But yeah, that's pretty much how we run it. It's good fun. I enjoyed it. I tried to make it fun because it can be a very repetitive job, you know, just putting people in a harness and then sending out a train and stuff. So yeah, it can. So I used to do some crazy stuff. I used to do some stupid stuff. as you would do. But yeah, it was. I try and make it as fun as possible operating Nemesis. It's good.
So, what's your best memory from operating the ride?
I used to operate Duel, and I got one of these like massive giant afro wigs, stupidly big. And I used to always go in when I was operating Nemesis, wear this wig, and people used to stare at me all the time like, is that real? And I was like, yes, ladies and gentlemen, my hair is real. It wasn't, but you just go with it. But we used to do crazy stuff like pouring water. They've got these things called rain trays, where it's just above your head. So when it does rain, it doesn't just pile up on you. It goes into these little trays, which obviously there's a pipe what goes all the way down and trickles out the feet, pretty much, out the bottom. So we used to fill them up full of water all the way up to the top, believe it or not. And as it was going up the lift hill, some waters would come out. It was quite funny to see. But then the first corkscrew bit over the queue line, the water would just gush everyone below them. It was one of the. It was fun. We shouldn't be doing it, but you know what? It made everyone laugh. It made everyone's day, and that's the main thing, surely. You know what I mean? People have been queued up for hours, and people are fed up and bored or whatnot. So let's try and make it entertaining, and that's what we did. Some other stuff as well, where we had people holding these cups. I've told this story so many times, where people were holding these cups. And you fill them up. 32 people holding these 2 cups in their hands, fill them up with water, and then they would have to do a run round Nemesis on the ride, and whoever had the most water would go around straight away afterwards. It was fun. Crazy. It was good times.
The original soundtrack for Nemesis had the backstory of the ride told to you and was appropriately narrated by the Fourth Doctor actor Tom Baker. Because of his background of playing the titular Time Lord, it just sounds so perfect.
Nemesis comes from another dimension. A dimension beyond our imagination. Its tragedy is that it has no home. It has suffered rejection throughout the solar system.
In 2007, the soundtrack was modified so that the backstory was completely taken away. However, you can still listen to this version of the soundtrack on YouTube. The soundtrack was made and composed by Graham Smart and is a perfect match for the unknown nature of the Nemesis creature, which stands above the station and provides a really good near-miss element on the 0G roll.
Nemesis, the awesome new ride at Alton Towers. Sit back, it's fright time.
Finally, on the 19th of March 1994, Nemesis opened to the public and was a huge success. John and Walter Bolliger were both there on the opening day just to watch people's reactions to the ride, which was so positive. Near the end of the day, John turned to Walter and said, "We've got a problem here. How on earth do we top this?" In the following years, another 5 secret weapons would be built in the park, creating a legacy of coasters that all started with Nemesis back in 1994. Nemesis will be the second ever B&M inverted coaster to open and will be the first inverted coaster in Europe. Nemesis changed the future of Alton Towers and is still regarded as not just one of the best coasters at the park, but in the whole world. With its high intensity moments and just the right ride time, Nemesis keeps you coming back for more. But the next secret weapon wouldn't be too far behind.